Life is Strange is one of my favorite games of all time. Max is the leading star, Chloe is the divisive but oh so important best friend. Episode 1 of this game was released on January 30th, 2015, and we were treated to 5 episodes throughout that entire year, all finishing up with episode 5, titled Polarized, releasing on October 20th. This was the first major splash for Don't Nod at the time, the only game they released before then being Remember Me, a pretty divisive game that really didn't do much for the studio. I have some amazing memories of this game, and having just replayed it for the 3rd time now with the Life is Strange Remastered Collection, I want to discuss if this game still holds up 7 years later. It all starts with the idea, Max, a quiet, shy, and flawed character, being our window into the world of Arcadia Bay. I've always loved Max. I've loved her since playing episode 1. She doesn't jump off the page like some protagonists. Instead, it's more of a slow burn of learning her character and who she is over time. This is helped by the dialogue of the game, most of which being her internal thoughts, her just actual talking to herself as you're moving around the world. It's here we really start to learn who Max actually is. We see phone conversations, diary updates, and more to enter a window of her life. Max is a character who's made loads of mistakes. She's not perfect by any means, and the game plays with that consistently, including even in the final episode mainly. Next up is her power. That is what comes to mind, I think, when people hear the name Life is Strange, time travel. While it branches out and becomes more of a problem for her, for everybody else, and even maybe in the game itself, in later episodes, the idea of time travel at the start of the game is very easy. Max saves a life. A person gets shot who she doesn't recognize at the time, and through her scream of desperation, she resets time back to Mr. Jefferson's class just a few minutes before. Very simple and very well executed. It's throughout episode 1, we learn snippets of what Max is about, leaving her friend years before and not doing nearly enough to stay in contact with her. This friend, Chloe Price, being the one she saved in the bathroom. We also have 2 main elements being played in the backdrop throughout most of the 5 episodes. Rachel Amber and the impending doom of Arcadia Bay, our setting for the game. Rachel is one of the most interesting game characters of all time, as the story revolves around her a fair amount, especially considering we never see her in person throughout the entire game. That's an uphill battle to get us to not only care about someone we won't see, and whose life is presented to us only through stories through the cast, but to have a large amount of the plot being dedicated to finding out what actually happened to her, where she went. The second event is the destruction of Arcadia Bay, a result of Max's time travel meddling, or maybe even Rachel's revenge. The answer is left to us to decide, but it's a looming threat we feel throughout the entire game, and something the game reminds us of from time to time. The main crux of this game is friendship. The game doesn't work, in my opinion, without Max and Chloe's relationship. Yes, you have time travel. Yes, you have a detective story. Where's Rachel? Yes, you have teen drama throughout the entire thing. But all those things play in the backdrop as we explore the incredible relationship between these 2 characters, Max and Chloe. These 2 have one of the most complex yet simple relationships seen in gaming. Friends for life, best friends forever, or at least until Max left for Seattle, leaving Chloe alone. One of the worst times she possibly could have done it. Fatherless and now friendless. The plan was to stay in touch, but as we find out, Max didn't do that almost at all. She failed Chloe, and that's important. Our main character, the one we're rooting for, while at her heart is a great person and someone who tries to help others and be there for others, had failed to do so with her best friend, Chloe. It's something that haunts the 2 of them throughout the 5 episodes and builds right up until you make the final choice of the game. It's throughout these 5 episodes we see the relationship between the 2 grow, reminding themselves of who they once were. They also must go through bumps of discovering what became of Rachel Amber, a person who Chloe grew incredibly attached to once Max had left. Arguably a replacement for Max, but also just somebody vastly different. It's through this we discover things about Chloe, a troubled girl who's truly lost everything. A perceived broken family between Joyce, David, even William. No real father, no real friends after the departure of Max and then Rachel. Everything around Chloe gets destroyed, and this is echoed by even her time and time again. Through this, we continue to learn Max was a big reason why Chloe's life is the way that it is. But that was the past, and this is the present. The main gameplay element here is time travel. While in normal gameplay, Max can rewind a few seconds, it's through cutscenes or big events we can see the power of time stretch much further. It's through this we get life-changing consequences for messing with time. Saving William, the father Chloe loved more than anything, taken by a car crash. Saving him is all well and good until it results in Chloe suffering arguably a worse fate. Time is presented in this game through a variety of lenses. We have the idea that Max can stop, rewind, and even change time, but also the idea of time itself, running out of it, the consequences of doing it, living in the moment, and for what you have now rather than changing the past or preventing the future. This is a phenomenal element of the game that I think many people skip over, a central theme that's very, very powerful. It's also through time that we continue to explore the themes of this game, the tragic case of Chloe Price, seemingly always linked to death, either needing time travel to stop her from dying, or time travel itself causes it to happen. It's also used to show Max, someone who did not ask for these powers whatsoever and is just trying to understand what's going on, all with having to deal with an impending disaster about to hit the town of Arcadia Bay, with a belief from Max that maybe she can stop it. The audio here is worth discussing just on its own as well. Of course, we have the music, an incredible soundtrack that hits every beat you can possibly imagine. Sadness, darkness, hope, happiness, and everything in between. The soundtrack is truly incredible from start to finish, whether it's the main menu music or Max just sitting on a bench staring out in the world. It's always been and always will be one of my favorite soundtracks for a game ever, and its main menu theme in particular I could truly listen to for hours on repeat, and I do it actually all the time. The rest of the audio in this game, though, is incredibly important as well. The dialogue between the characters, the voice acting, Hannah Tell and Ashley Birch do an incredible job as Max and Chloe. They're born to play these roles, and they pull it off flawlessly, in my opinion, specifically Hannah. But the rest of the cast is strong too. Joyce, David, William, Nathan, Mr. Jefferson, and truly everybody else all play different roles in the story, and they're all fantastic. Then there's the sounds themselves, the noises that play in the background as you're rewinding time, the sounds of the outdoors. Everything has a role here, and everything works exactly how I would want it to. One thing I've always known but stopped to think about just a few days ago was the darkness element of this game. There's really no happy ending, and there's darkness in all 5 episodes. And any entertainment piece would be put in a tough spot with this kind of concept, having darkness in general and wanting to balance it with some kind of light. But especially this game where bad things just constantly happen. It's a central theme. Chloe being shot, Kate's attempted or successful, if you as Max fail, suicide, saving William only for Chloe to eventually die because of it one way or another, letting William then die, knowing what Chloe's gonna have to go through because you already know that it happened, discovering Rachel is actually dead this entire time and watching Chloe break down because of it, watching Chloe be gunned down by Mark Jefferson, and then really the entirety of episode 5. There's a lot of darkness, and Max and Chloe really take the blunt of it, right? Everybody else is kind of doing their own thing. They take hit after hit, but their friendship and journey are at the center. And whether you choose to save Chloe or not, you still got to experience the entire story with her. It's a dark final choice. Choose to kill everyone who you've spent the game learning about, Warren, Joyce, Alyssa, and many, many others, or kill your best friend, the one you've been fighting to save this entire time. There's no right answer. Either way, these characters live with the choices they make, and I love it because there's still so much light and so much love through these 5 episodes, specifically between these 2 characters, that even in the darkest of times, there's still the light hanging above. I love this game. I've always loved this game. You'll notice I spent no time at all really on lip syncing or the spottiness of the visuals. That's because I think largely the aesthetic of this game will live forever. The colors pop, the facial animations, they are all timeless to me. You could argue the Life is Strange Remastered collection, but I'm kind of only talking about the original here. The second-to-second gameplay of just walking around, investigating things, learning more about the world around you never gets old, and I crave to find everything in this game. Beyond those, the story, character, themes, and lessons that they learn, they can, in my opinion, never age badly. They'll never actually drop. Yes, technology will advance, and the game visually will lessen over time. Again, though, I think the visuals have staying power. Everything beyond it, I think, is timeless. I say routinely that Life is Strange is one of my favorite games ever created, and also that Max is not only one of the best female protagonists, but one of the best protagonists in general ever created. Don't Nod made something truly special, something that I really don't think can ever be topped with another Life is Strange game. And while I'd love to see Max and Chloe again in a new game, a Life is Strange 4, let's say, where they did leave off in Life is Strange 1, whether together or apart, I'm more than happy with if this is it for these characters. Thank you all for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. This is a new kind of project for me. Let me know what other games you'd like me to take a look at for the series that I'm kind of doing. I really appreciate the support. All my social media is in the description below if you guys want to check it out. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you all on the next video.